Hey guys, welcome to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour with your hosts, Derek and Jade.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in and welcome to episode number 5 of the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. Again, my name is Derek with DP Films Productions.
My name is Jade with Justice Promised Events. Today we dig into the mind of Brandon Wong, the CEO of Photobooth Supply Co. He shares his insight on what it takes to run a successful, larger scale company.
That's right. Brandon saw an opportunity and turned it into a profitable business. He pretty much modernized photobooths as we know it. This is going to be a great episode for all you entrepreneurs. So grab a drink, take a seat, and let's get to it. Hey, what's up, Brandon? Thanks for being a part of our show. Jade and I are super stoked.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. So just to get things started for our listeners, can you just tell us about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am Brandon Wong. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Photobooth Supply Co. And we build photo booths that make people money.
Yeah, I love your guys' stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So before we dig into the entrepreneurship questions, we just want to know a little bit more about your story and your company.
Yeah, so take us back to where it all began. What did you do before Photobooth Supply Company?
Yeah, so this journey actually started off with me being a 19-year-old college student. I had the dream, which is very atypical for a studious Asian college kid to photograph. I had this dream to photograph weddings, which is, again, super atypical. So we started it, though. We joined as a team. My then girlfriend, now wife, Katrina, started off shooting weddings. Very, very grassroots. We actually found a bunch of our friends that were couples. We photographed them, made a website, and started putting posts on Craigslist so you can shoot people's weddings for $1,000. And so timely here, we started this in 2008. So during the last recession, we actually started this business, and it actually worked out and benefited for us because we were just beginning to start out. People didn't have that high of a budget. So we were actually getting a lot of weddings, and we very quickly, as the economy grew back, we also started raising our prices as well.
Smart.
So it actually was kind of great timing there. Great timing to a point where when we graduated, that became our full-time jobs. Yeah. So we started doing that and shooting together. And we were fortunate enough to have people fly us all around the world. We shot weddings in Singapore, Mexico, Peru, Canada, Australia, you name it. It was super fun. But I came to a point where we were actually getting a little older. When I say older, I mean 22, 23 years old. And we're like, you know what? Shooting is fun. Creativity is fun. But we should actually focus on growing our business. Because we, like our other friends, we didn't have a big corporate job. We weren't, getting 401k matching. We didn't have healthcare. So we needed to actually make more money. So we started to hire associate photographers. Nice. So these are people that work underneath your brand and for you. But as you guys know, being in the wedding industry, this is a super high stress environment, right? And there's a lot of responsibility. You're entrusting somebody to be part of your brand, and they could lose the wedding rings. They could show up late. They could forget about the memory cards or delete the memory cards accidentally. They could bring the wrong lens. They could forget the batteries. There's so many things that can go wrong, and it's just someone's most special day of their life. So on top of that, we weren't actually getting paid a lot in the end. So these associate photographers, we're charging around $3,000-$4,000 for them. But by the end of the day, after paying for the editor, after paying for a photographer, we would only end up with about $800 to $1,000, which is a lot of work and a lot of stress and a lot of risk for that money. And then we actually broke down the amount of hours we were working. We were pretty much making close to the minimum wage. So we're like, you know what, this is not a good idea. How do we reduce the risk? How do we get a photographer that doesn't show up late, doesn't get pregnant, doesn't run off and do their own business? You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're like, photo booths. Yeah. They are a robot, so they're reliable. We can just set it up, have it run all in the evening, and it's super easy. And our clients are actually asking for this too. So we know it's in demand. So we actually went on Google and tried to find a photo booth. And back then there weren't a lot of options. And we found this like gigantic walk-in with the curtain style photo booth. And we bought it. And it was 15 grand, guys. It was a lot of money. And it required a U-Haul trailer to bring it to an event and required 2 people to set it up and 8 trips from the car, 8 round trips, bringing stuff back and forth. So there wasn't a carrying case. There wasn't anything like that. It was a pain in the ass. So Katrina and I, after a while, were like, you know what, this is terrible. Like, we're making good money off of it. We're making way more margins than we would be hiring an associate photographer, way less headache. But I feel like we can reduce the need for a U-Haul trailer. We can reduce the need to hire 2 people. We can reduce the need to hire someone tech savvy. So we started to invent our own photo booth. And we kept on iterating on it, and it slowly came to be a semblance of our current legacy booth that we used to offer. So that was in place, but we weren't selling the product. This was a purely selfish thing for us, one and done prototype made for Brandon Wong Photography. But people like you guys in the other wedding industry, just like you, were asking like, hey, I have the same problem. I'm trying to grow my business, but it's hard to hire associate photographers, but all these photo booths out there suck, but et cetera, et cetera. And they wanted to buy ours. So 3 weeks before the largest North American wedding photography convention, WPPI, was happening, we signed up to be an exhibitor. And we spent another $15,000 to show there. And we built a business in 3 weeks. So we built the company name, Photobooth Supply Co. We bought the website domain, built the website, filmed the promotional material, took photographs of the product, made the product, created business cards, printables, created the made the trade show booth, made everything in 3 weeks. I don't recommend it to anybody. You guys seem like an amazing couple that can work together, but I would assume most couples would not be able to make it through that.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
So it was definitely testing for sure. But we made it out of there alive, and it was actually one of the most successful things we've ever done. And we took the profits from the first few sales and we went straight to the Las Vegas Strip, and we bought an engagement ring, and we got married 6 months after.
Aww.
So
Congrats.
The same year that we started Photobooth Supply Co., we also started our marriage. So that's a little long, but now it's a story about Photobooth Supply Co. and also how we became husband and wife.
That's super nice. I like that. I love that story.
Yeah.
So I was asking too, like, what inspired the photo booth company? Was it that old school big old cube, or was it a different idea before you got into like the photo booth thing?
Yeah, I think all great products are born from pain and frustration, right? You know, nobody makes something just for fun. Everything is always built to solve a problem. So that was definitely one aspect of it. And the other aspect of it was we really had a passion for helping other entrepreneurs. And we really wanted to see either entrepreneurs start a business or grow their existing business. Yeah. So this was kind of the blend of both worlds of having a photo booth to solve these problems.
Dude, that's so nice. Like, did you guys have like, what do you call it? A background in business and stuff before? Cause you guys knew like how to like go approach, getting into the photo booth thing and like, going from there.
Yeah, we actually didn't have any background in business whatsoever. We learned everything ourselves. We actually didn't even go to photography school. So everything was learned on our own through the internet, through peers, through mentors, through workshops. Nice. Everything was self-taught.
And you're super successful today. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, here's a three-part question here. So like, how, when, and why did you start selling photo booths? Like, I know you kind of like went into it briefly, but like, can you elaborate a little bit more into that?
Oh, how, when, and why? It kind of goes back to what I just mentioned. Like, there was definitely a problem that we need to solve. There's a lot of photographers out there that were having difficulty growing their business, and through the years, it went from photographers to videographers, to event planners, to event venues, to even stay-at-home moms who just weren't fulfilled doing or going back to their normal day job and wanted something creative to do on the side, or wanted to spend more time at home with their kids and family. And they found something fun and easy and exciting in a photo booth business. So that's kind of like the why. The when, it just happened as is, because we were just growing organically in our business, and we had a prototype photo booth, and people just saw it and wanted to add that into the repertoire as well.
That's so cool.
And I think that's how, when. What did I not answer yet?
Pretty much covered the why as well.
Yeah, you pretty much covered it all.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Perfect.
So we love your photo booths. We have one ourselves, and we just want to let the listeners know. Can you tell us a little bit more about your photo booths for those that don't know about them?
Yeah, like what makes them different?
Yeah, totally. So, starting a business, as you guys can imagine, is complicated, expensive, and time consuming. So what we essentially offer is a turnkey business solution. It just so happens to be in the form of a photo booth that you take to parties on the weekend and capture memories, and really get to our purpose really as photo booth owners is to spice up the party.
Yeah.
And to capture these moments that would have never been captured. So that's our reason for being here. We have one photo booth currently for sale, which is called Salsa. Your photo booth Queso is still on back order. So that thing is a beast to manufacture. Yeah, and you might be wondering, like, why the Queso and Salsa names? This guy's Asian. There's like Mexican food. What's going on there? Well, I'm from the city of Los Angeles, and we have a huge, Hispanic culture here. And I personally love Hispanic food, and I grew up with that. But also, queso is the Spanish word for cheese, which you say when you take a picture. That's how that came into play.
That's awesome.
And then salsa is a form of dance, and salsa captures really great boomerangs and videos. So you get a lot of movement there. Salsa also goes great with queso. Yeah. And salsa is lastly a dish salsa is something you put on a dish to make it spicier, to make it more lively. So it's the same thing how we bring a photo booth to an event to make it livelier too.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so
those
cool.
are our photo booths. Queso, the one you guys have, is a little bit more of a professional quality one, has better picture quality and has prints.
Yeah.
And then Salsa, on the other hand, is a more social photo booth. So it doesn't have a printer attached to it, although you can do wireless printing. And it really focuses on like fun digital features like boomerangs and GIFs and videos.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. I want to go a little bit more into the salsa booth. So like what inspired, well, I want to say, the queso, we love that booth. People just like get excited when they see, like before they even use it, they look at it and they're just like, this thing is amazing looking.
Super sleek and modern.
Yeah, it's like the Apple of photo booths. Like seriously. But so like what inspired you to create the salsa booth?
So what inspired me to create the salsa booth was this desire for continuing improvement, right? You can tell from my story here, we weren't happy with our current photo booth setup back when we were running photographers. We want to make things even more compact, more portable. And as I saw the future of photo booths, I really understood what we were meant to do at a party, which was to make things more exciting, to liven the party up, to have some fun in there. And I started to really think about like, hey, is picture quality that important anymore? Do the guests really put an importance on it? And ultimately, I decided that there were guests that really cared about it. And I think as the photo booth market grows and matures, our clients are going to have more distinction in what kind of photo booth they want at their event. Do they want like a black and white glam photo booth with DSLR? Do they want a queso style? Do they want a more digital style? Yeah. So I felt like there was a place in the world for something that was even more portable and maybe sacrifices a little bit of photo quality, but for ease of use and more fun and something a little more engaging. So I think that was the real reason why we had Salsa and came up with that. Is I think there's a world where we live in where we can have something like a queso booth we're focused on image quality, and something like Salsa, where it just focuses on social media.
That's so cool. And I like that you mentioned the image quality on the queso, because when they see the screen and it takes the picture, they're just like, whoa, my God, that's such a nice picture. When they first see it, they always do.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And another thing I really love about the queso too is that there's no ever like hold up for like a line. That's huge, because like when people are like lined up, all people are taking the picture. People are in the back of this, looking at the other screen, looking at their images, and then it's printing. It's just,
Or texting it to themselves.
yeah, or texting it. It's crazy. So like back to the salsa one, do you feel that, well, because it's so social, do you feel like the salsa booth or maybe the photo booth industry is moving more to a modern like digital age, or do you feel like print is always king?
I think there's going to be a client for everybody. There might be clients who want the prints for sure. And I think that there is something really special about holding a memory in your hand, and something nostalgic about putting that on your wall or putting that on your fridge. But I feel like for the most part, our goal at Photobooth Supply Co., our long-term vision is to see a photo booth at every event. And ultimately, bringing, let's just say, a queso out there does cost you guys a bit of money, because the prints cost money.
Yeah.
But having a salsa booth out there for a photo booth owner, at least, doesn't require any sort of printing costs.
Mm-hmm.
So it really lowers the ability for a client to book you. And I always recommend charging what you're worth, for sure. Yeah. And we might want to have a conversation about that later. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
But it allows salsa to be at many more parties. So, and again, I think you have this opportunity to have salsa at one price range and queso at another price range. But I do generally feel like, of course, that we're all moving towards the digital age. I mean, how will we not? So
for sure.
Salsa and queso as well, like, just allows you to bring that opportunity and these memories onto a digital platform. So I think there's always a place for prints, for sure.
Definitely.
But I think the majority of people would always want, in addition to prints, have it on their social media platforms and on their phone.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like that. And that's cool, because the queso does do print too, but it requires Wi-Fi. And the thing I like about the salsa is that, with the iPad, it could just go directly. If you have like service on that iPad, it could just they can instantly get it, which is awesome. So like with the salsa booth, I saw that it can print like through like, what do you call it?
AirDrop?
Yeah, AirDrop.
Or air printing?
Air printing, something like that.
Yes, so it can do air printing for sure. I mean, I literally just pressed send email on our newest update that has print templates too. So you can actually upload the designs now, have multiple photo layouts. So that's definitely coming to Salsa. It's actually funny, guys. So when we released Salsa, we're like, hey, this is going to be the booth where people don't want prints. No one's going to ask for it. And of course, the number one requested feature on Salsa was print templates. So we messed up a little bit there, to be honest with you. But now it's out there for everybody and they can use it. So
I love that you're always adapting to requests too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, for sure.
And another thing I like about the Salsa booth, that the setup looks like easy, like it's like Legos. It looks like it's like a breeze. As for the queso, it's like, it's pretty, you got to put the pieces and the big old head on top of it. But as for the salsa, it looks like little Lego snap-on pieces, and you're good to go. How can you go into that?
Yeah. So, we try to make every setup as easy as possible. When we had our older photo booth, when we see other photo booths in the market, those usually require tools or some sort of hardware like a screw.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is I hear so many horror stories with other photo booth owners, like literally forgetting one screw at the venue.
Oh, we've done that.
Last event. And because they left that one screw, they're now unable to set up the photo booth for the next event.
Yeah, ours still worked when we did that.
Yeah. So like just forgetting one little thing can totally ruin that experience, which will lead to a negative review, which will, not look great for future clients as well. So what we decided to do for Salsa is just have it be a completely tool-free experience. So the only tools you need are your fingers on your hands.
Jeez. And
you just pop that baby in and screw it in, and it's super easy. Our other goal was to try to make it so easy to assemble that you wouldn't even need a manual or video, although we do provide it for sure. But based off of our initial testing, most people can pick it up and understand how to put it together upon first glance.
That's so cool.
Ultimately requires you to like not need to hire skilled attendant. You can just pick off anybody, even your niece and nephew, and have them do the event for you. So you don't need a lot of training, which was another thing that I had difficulty back in the day. I had to hire someone who was strong, could drive a truck or drive a U-Haul trailer, and also could troubleshoot like printers and DSLRs and stuff like that. It was just a big pain in the butt. Now you can just hire anybody really to run a salsa, and it wouldn't be a problem.
That's so cool. So I like that you're always thinking of the consumer. You're always thinking about how you can make it as easy as possible for them. Because I saw also on your guys' booth, you guys have like this little QR code where you can just scan it, and then boom, you have like how to set up your booth real quick.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So today I was curious, being the head chief of your business, do you still ever work photo booth events yourself?
Well, every now and then. So although I've retired from wedding photography, there are still a few select clients that I shoot throughout the year. And I always mandatorily bring a photo booth to all of them. So I definitely do a few events here and there for sure.
That's so cool. Being the head chief and all, you still stick to the small ones. Go back to the basics, which is super cool. So before we take our break and get into the entrepreneur questions, do you have any cool tips for people that are looking into starting a photo booth company?
Yeah. So if you're looking to start one, just like my story, you have to first see if there is some sort of demand. So if you go on to photoboothsupplyco.com, we actually built this thing called the demand calculator. You can actually enter in your state, and you'll actually see how many monthly searchers there are for a photo booth rental in your area.
Well,
so that'll first off, it's pretty neat. So you can first off check how is the demand here? Maybe it's 50,000 searches a month. Maybe it's 100,000. So that's a good way to at least see initially, hey, this is going to work. And then if the numbers work for you, and usually they pretty much are, the photo booths are actually more in demand per Google than actually DJ services right now. So you can see, it's wild. And also the budget for guest entertainment at events has actually more than tripled since 2009 as well. So more and more people are spending money on things like a photo booth. And then from there, I would always do a little quick blast on your social media platform and say hey, I'm looking to get into the photo booth business. Is anyone out there? Would anyone out there be interested in renting it?
Yeah.
So I always want to back that post up a little bit more substance though. So if you guys want, again, you can go to photoboothsupplyco.com. We actually have free images for you to use, and you can actually pop that into that social media post, then show people the outcomes, show people the boomerang, show people the images of the photo booth, so that I'll actually say, hey, here's what the photo booth looks like, here's the outcome. And most people see a little bit of traction there, if not a lot of traction, and then they use that demand and interest to actually get deposits for the booking your photo booth, and they use those deposits to actually fund the photo booth. So you can actually essentially crowdfund your photo booth through your social media posts. And that's what most of our clients do.
That's super smart. We should have done that.
I was going to say, that was hardcore.
You guys definitely should have done that because you already had existing clients.
I'm going to do that. Definitely going to do that. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's so cool. So what was that? What was that, what was it called again? That little checker thing?
Yeah. So if you just go to photoboothsupplyco.com, it's straight up on the homepage. So you can just check that out there.
Definitely check that out. Yeah. So before we continue again into the entrepreneurship questions like I mentioned, we're just going to take a quick break.
Welcome back, guys. We're still here with Brandon from the Photobooth Supply Co. So Brandon, you started out as a photographer and now you run a photobooth supply company. So you've kind of been in both worlds, from a freelancer to a large scale business owner. Mm-hmm. So would you say there's a drastic difference between the two? And if so, how?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say being a wedding photographer is an atypical business. You kind of go out on a Saturday or Sunday and work your butt off doing 12, 14-hour days. I mean, you're event planner. I mean, you do longer days than that.
Yeah.
The first one to show up, the last person to leave. And then Monday through Friday, you just kind of like chill in front of a computer, and there's no like real high pressure or high demand for your time Monday through Friday, right? You're just kind of like, hey, you want to edit photos in the morning and take a little break, you know? So it was, in that sense, a lot of freedom and really relaxed. And like, I found a lot of fulfillment in what I did. And you see a lot of like direct interaction with the clients. And then now we have like 20 plus employees in the company. It's completely different, I would say. So a lot of my time now is really focused on my team members and the growth of my team members and making sure that they have everything that they need to do their job. So I almost like, instead of like talking directly to the client, my main goal, my entire reason for being the CEO is my team members. That's my main focus, who ultimately, of course, affect our customers, and our customers ultimately, you know, come back and show some love back to us as well. So in that respect, totally different. And now I have a way more regimented schedule. You know, back when I was a wedding photographer, I go out to eat my lunch with my friends all the time, hang out, take Monday off, do whatever.
Some style shoots.
Now I have like multiple scheduled meetings every single day. Talk about this, talk about that. I have to show up at 8:30 to present my launch notes to my team, tell them what I'm going to do today. I got to post my end of day notes. Like, it's just a lot more regimented in that respect. So, but they do say that more discipline equals more freedom. So I do have a little bit more flexibility when I am turned off. I'm truly turned off. Back when I was a wedding photographer, I had to be on 24/7 because, you know, you're a one man show. If you don't work, you don't eat. So
that's true.
Now I'm a business owner here. I have 20 plus employees. You know, again, it's all about nurturing the team members and making sure that they are working for the company and doing a great job there. So yeah, big difference for sure.
That's so cool. Like when you were describing that, I was like, you're like the Mark Zuckerberg of photobooth companies. I could just see that.
Oh gosh.
So like when your business started to blow up, were you prepared for the change from the freelancer to the big scale business side of things?
It was baby steps. So it wasn't like we had 20 employees overnight. It started with a part-time team member, then a full-time one, then the second full-time one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc., all the way up to 20. So we had to adapt at every step of the journey. So running the business with 2 people, my wife and I, is very different from even running with 3 people, very different from running with 5 people, very different from running with 10 people, very different from running with 20 people. And I can go on and on and on about the nuances of every different stage, but you have to adapt. Communication channels need to adapt. Different meetings need to adapt. Communication needs to adapt. Everything needs to change at every step of the journey.
That's so cool.
And even team members need to change too. The team members that brought you from 0 to 500,000 aren't necessarily the team members who are going to be able to bring you from 500,000 to 1 million, etc. So you need to be constantly in a state of metamorphosis and be open to that change, because being a business owner, things are going to be extremely tumultuous. And even now, you got to be open to change when freaking pandemic hits the roof and you got to change everything again. So it's being an entrepreneur, you just got to get used to it. That's going to be your life.
That's huge. I like how I just want to quote that. For an entrepreneur, you just got to be open to change. That's huge. You always have to be open for that. You know, always expect the unexpected too. Always be open. So like, what was your key driving force to become an entrepreneur?
I don't know if I ever really decided that. Like, I don't think I ever like woke up and was like, I want to be a business owner. I think life just kind of like had its way for me. I think the original passion was photography and documenting weddings, and life just kind of took me where it wanted to take me from there. It just like, oh, business is growing, I got to hire more people. Business is growing, I got to hire more people. You know, this product is getting a little outdated, I got to make a new product. And just, life just kind of like grabbed me and threw me around. So I don't know if there was an original passion, but what I would say is that passion grew within me.
Yeah.
When I saw the customers be so successful, when I see people like Katrina, which is one of our customers who now is one of our full-time team members, grow from literally nothing. She was at the verge of bankruptcy and now made like over 6 figures in her first year of running a photo booth business.
Jeez.
It's stories like that which sparked my passion and my match for entrepreneurship for helping solve these problems. Because ultimately, as an entrepreneur, you are a problem solver.
Yep. That's so cool.
And circling back to kind of when you were starting Photobooth Supply Company, I mean, I could just imagine how much, money that costs to start it up.
When people start a business?
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how did you go about raising funding for your new venture?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's super huge. And and some companies need a lot of funding, right?
Yeah.
So you hear about stories like Netflix and Uber and Tesla who like haven't made a profit until like many years in. Luckily, when we first started as wedding photographers, you don't need that much capital, right? Like I worked a mall job like most people during my teenage years, so I could afford a camera and a lens, and I started from there. And then Photobooth Supply Co. actually was funded by our wedding photography business.
Nice.
So we were fortunate enough that my wife and I were always frugal. We didn't spend a lot on ourselves, so we saved almost every dollar that we made. I heard a quote recently. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep.
Yeah.
So that was really important. I know a lot of people make a lot of money and also spend all of it. So, Katrina and I thought it was very important to save. So when we did start Photobooth Supply Co, we did have a bit of a nest egg built up. And from there, we just had to spend very wisely. Being a bootstrap company, which means like you're self-funded, means you need to spend very differently from a company that has millions of dollars worth of backing. So, instead of like hiring out experts, like we had to learn how to do everything on our own. Like Katrina learned accounting on her own. She learned logistics on her own. She learned supply chain on her own. I had to learn how to be CEO. I had to learn how to manage people. I needed to learn how to run meetings on my own. I didn't have any of these like experts that I could hire on, CFOs and COOs and things like that. So you just got to be scrappy.
That's so cool. With entrepreneurship, you're just like, what do they say? Trade of hat. How do they say it? The trade of all hats or hats of all trades. You're wearing many different hats. That's so cool that you guys, and I like that you guys were like a husband and wife team too. You guys are doing this together. Is she still a big part of it?
Oh yeah. She runs her own department. So Katrina actually she does a lot of things, and this company definitely wouldn't be possible without her. Yeah. She is the detail-oriented person. She keeps all the wheels spinning.
Nice.
And I'm the person who has so many ideas but never executes on any of them. So she helps me handpick the ones that are the most priority, puts timelines to them, puts action items to them, and follows up with my ass to make sure I get them done. So that was early stage in the business. And now she runs the logistics team, the supply chain team,
nice.
and the finance team. So she's definitely a major, major part of the business.
That's so cool. Yeah. So another big question. I know a lot of people that start a business want to know, how do you feel that, how do you build a successful customer base? That's kind of big. Yeah.
That's when you say customer base, you mean just like getting your first initial customers or like building customer loyalty, or what
both.
Do you mean by that?
Let's go into both.
well, again, everything in my life kind of happened for a reason, and one thing led to another. Back when I was a wedding photographer, I started building up my network, and by going to these conferences, by going to workshops, by being mentored by people, and just by going out there and putting my name out there, meeting with wedding vendors. So by the time Photobooth Supply Co launched, I already had a large personal network. So it wasn't difficult at that point to kind of get the word across, and then my friends and more friends, and it kind of just spread the word of mouth there. So that's how we got the initial client base. Was, a lot of people say it takes 5 years to be overnight success. Yeah. And I didn't know it back then, but it was me accumulating all those relationships over the course of 5 years to become that overnight success. So when we did launch Photobooth Supply Co, we already had that clout, that reputation, that trust. So people didn't hesitate to buy a Photobooth Supply Co booth because they knew they were coming from a reputable source, which was me and Katrina. And then from there, growing that client base, it was all about like creating community. And we created a Facebook group. I think it was pretty early on when Facebook groups were just starting out, and when Facebook was still being used pretty often. Everyone was just bouncing ideas off of each other and business ideas, because the photo booth industry was in its infancy. So it was a great platform for a lot of people across the world to get to know each other and to grow their businesses in separate parts of the world. And we reinforced that by having an in-person conference called the Booth Summit. So we had that for 2 years. The first year was in Huntington Beach, and like these owners from all around the world, from New Zealand to Canada, flew out to Huntington Beach, California, and we had a little get together there. So it's great to have an online presence, but if you can swing an in-person gathering as well, I would highly recommend it.
That's so cool. And speaking of your in-person gatherings, I know you guys sometimes did not like expos, but what do you call it? Like you guys, like people come over there and you like teach them photo booth, tricks and tips. Are you guys offering any of those soon? Well, when this pandemic thing kind of goes down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're always trying to put education out there for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. Go for it.
So how do you go about marketing your business today, and which tactics would you say are the most successful for you?
Yeah, we probably could be marketing a little better. I don't think that, I don't think marketing is our strong suit for sure. But we do the basics. We do a few Facebook and Instagram ads. We do Google ads. And we go to some conferences. But yeah, there's no like magic trick that no silver bullet that we have. And I would say, yeah, marketing is definitely probably our weakest department right now, to be frank.
Yeah, marketing's tough.
But we found you.
Yeah, we found you though. Yeah, we found you. Yeah. So it's working. You guys doing something right.
Yeah.
So like speaking of like that silver lining, do you believe there is some sort of pattern or, formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
It all comes down to skill and discipline.
Yeah. And
some people are born with a little bit more like innate natural skills than others. Some people are born with a little more discipline than others. If you have both, that's great. If you have one or the other, then you just have to try a little bit harder to be more disciplined and to go past that skill. Or, if you have a lot of skill, then you need to pick up that discipline and get your butt on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are kind of the two secret ingredients to being a successful entrepreneur.
That's so cool. So I want to go back on that. It was skill and discipline.
Oh yeah, super important.
Super important to keep down.
So we kind of briefly touched on the current situation as today, like with the coronavirus and the pandemic. We just kind of want to ask you, during hard times like these for business owners, like how do you approach that and stay ahead of it and kind of prevent, and stay afloat during it?
Yeah.
It's an unprecedented time for sure. And my role as a business owner is I need to, unfortunately, get all the brutal facts because I need to have those in order to make the right decisions. So while some people are avidly avoiding the news and trying to stay positive by to be honest, and this is not to be a jab at anyone, but like just having plain ignorance, I need to be as informed as possible. And like, to be honest, this is a pretty grim situation for everybody. We're in an industry that monetizes off gatherings, and that's literally illegal right now.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like a drug lord, like we're offering like a legal service or something like that. It's crazy. So this is like my Pablo Escobar moment. But yeah, and it's tough to see a lot of people in other industries like completely get laid off overnight, and industries completely just vanishing. But being in the events industry, it's a two-edged sword. So while we can't literally have the value presented now, like we can't go out and do events, we can still be booking events in the future.
True.
And that allows us to still have some revenue stream. It's not like we're a restaurant that like has to shut down. It's not like, we're a movie production set that literally can't make movies anymore. We can still collect future deposits for these events. And you know what? All the weddings that were supposed to happen in March and April and May and June, they are still going to want to get married.
Yep.
And it's going to be coming in full force.
It is.
So when this whole thing is over, there's going to be June, July, August, whenever the thing pops back up, and people are going to get married Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your queso booth is going to be working overtime. You're going to be planning weddings every day of the week, Jade. You're going to be completely exhausted. You're going to need to hire like 20 more people to shoot under your company. Like it's going to be nuts. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm going like absolutely insane being at home. Everyone's gonna want to throw a party.
Yeah.
People are gonna have money saved up. I don't know about you guys. I'm saving a lot of money being at home.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna go crazy with these events. So just think of this as a delayed income.
Yeah.
It's not like your business is tanking. Just think of it as like, you know what? Everyone's just gonna pause your paychecks for a little bit. And then Q4 this year is just going to be bananas. And if we keep that mindset up, then I think we're going to be good. And also, we have to be thankful to a lot of us, like small time event industry people. We don't have a lot of overhead. Like a lot of us work from home. We don't have an office. We don't have employees. So like, yes, we don't have money coming in. But we're also not bleeding money every month.
Yeah, that's true.
So we all have to be really thankful there. I know that's not everybody, but a lot of us are in that boat.
That's true. That was so cool, and I definitely agree. Like once this is cooled down, we're just gonna get hit with all these people that are ready to get married, ready to celebrate, ready to go Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday. That's so cool. So like for like people that actually do need, like a small business owner that do need some kind of creative way to make income. Do you have any like cool ideas or tips for them how they could bring something in, small or big?
Switch gears.
Yeah, kind of switch gears. Buy a booth. That's so cool.
Yeah. Are you talking specifically about like event industry people or just anyone in general?
Just like anyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about trying to find a need and adapting, right? I talked about being an entrepreneur. You need to be open to change. And because your current product can't solve problems doesn't mean that you yourself can't think of new ideas and new problems to solve, right? So now we're all at home. We also have a contactless environment. What product or service can you offer right now that'll help the current population with their challenges? Like pop on social media, see what people are complaining about, and see if there's anything you can think of to solve that. That's pretty much it. And of course, you can buy a photo booth and start getting deposits for future events.
Yeah.
Post a media link, crowdfund your photo booth.
Yeah, seriously. Well, this has been so great so far. We've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for sharing your insight on all of this stuff. So to kind of wrap things up, as we learned, you started out as a photographer. Now you're the CEO of a larger company. So looking back at your experience and your overall business journey, what are your best tips for anyone looking to start a larger scale company?
Yeah.
Let's say like 5 tips, 5 big tips.
5 tips. Oh Lord. Oh man. Okay. This is going to require longer thinking. Okay. Well, I'll give you as many as I can. How about
cool.
that?
Yeah.
So when you think about starting a larger company, it'll naturally take you there, right? Like, I don't think you wake up one day and be like, hey, I want to have a 20-person company. You first start small, like, hey, this is the problem I want to solve. You start going for it. In the beginning, you're going to need to be scrappy. And like we talked about before, you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn how to adapt. You're going to learn how to be the jack of all trades.
Yep.
Unless you get funding and you can pull in experts, but why not learn it on your own, right? It's also kind of fun that way. So be scrappy, learn things on your own. The second thing is get some help. Like there's no way I could have done this all by myself. I didn't go to business school. I didn't have any friends that also own bigger businesses. So as I progressed through my career, I always found different circles of mentorship. So when I was a wedding photographer, I had a circle of friends that were wedding photographers that were better than me and more successful than me. And I also had a circle of wedding photographers that were at a different level than me, a little bit lower than me, maybe starting out. So I was able to pull in information from people above me. And I was able to share information and reinforce it to the people that were starting out as well. And as I started getting to the phase where we got 1 and 2 employees, then I started expanding my circle, moving away from wedding photographers and making a new circle with people that were in the same boat as me, and so on and so forth. So it was really important to find your tribe and find that circle of mentors that's able to lift you up, and also people that you can lift up as well. So that's really important. And then third thing is know your strengths and know your weaknesses.
Definitely.
I would say that self-awareness was the biggest way for me to grow as CEO.
Yeah.
When I knew who I was, like truly who Brandon Wong was and how I came to be, that was a complete game changer for me. I stopped being offended by people. I started actually caring and growing my team and having that be a focus instead of caring about myself. That was a complete game changer. And so things like Strengths Finder, which is a nice book you can read, things like personality tests like Enneagram or Myers-Briggs or 16 personalities. Those are all great ways for you to do a quick self-assessment online test to figure out who you are. And there's some great programs out there too. You can take a Tony Robbins class, like Unleash Power Within, or one of my favorites is called Landmark. It's a 3-day ultra intensive workshop. Whoa. And it just really, really like grinds in on you and figures out who you are as a person. So that's also important. I think I kind of ran out of ideas.
Dude, no, I was getting inspired here. I was like, whoa, dude, that's gnarly. That's so cool. So, Landmark. So is that like a retreat thing, or is like a online class thing?
So it's an in-person event, which is illegal now, but hopefully,
right now,
I guess it'll be sparked back up. It's a 3-day course, and it's local everywhere. So there's probably one in Central Coast, possibly. Probably have one like every month or so. You get together, a group of 100 people. I can't really explain it. But it's a life-changing event, and it teaches you how to let go of the chains of the past so you can move on to the future and accomplish anything you want to accomplish. It's such a broad thing to say.
That's huge. No, that's like huge.
And culty. It's weird. It's so worth it. And there's a few other things that I've joined as well, but those are for people maybe a little bit further along in their career. But for someone, it doesn't have to be a business owner. You could be anybody. You can even be someone working for someone. It doesn't matter. Landmark or any other class or book that can teach you how to self-reflect and learn more about yourself is going to be better. Because how do you expect to run a business if you don't even know who you are?
Exactly.
Then that means you don't even know who your employee is, which is yourself.
Exactly.
Right? So how do you know what tasks to give yourself? How do you know what tasks to not give yourself? Everything. So it's super important that you do some self-assessment, some self-awareness, and self-reflection.
That's super huge. That's huge. That's a super PowerPoint. You got to find yourself when you're creating your business. That's huge. I think I found myself, right? I need to do Landmark.
Check these things out.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, dude, thanks again for being a part of our show. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot here.
Definitely.
Yeah. So just before we end this, my little stutter there. Before we end this, can you give some people some insights where to find you, like social media, websites, whatever else you're on?
Yeah, totally. If this podcast has sparked your interest in starting a business and you want something a little bit more easy, something a little done for you already, and you want to follow along the path of these amazing people here, go to photoboothsupplyco.com. We have a ton of free resources and some fun calculators. You can see how much demand's in your area. We have a profit calculator to see how much money you can make. We have a free guide called 6 Steps to 6 Figures, which teaches you how to make a 6-figure photo booth business, and all these other free materials as well. So it's photoboothsupplyco.com. And then all of our social media handles are also at Photobooth Supply Co. So follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of free tips and tricks there as well.
Awesome. This has been great. Again, Brandon, thank you so much for being on. We had a blast, right, Jade?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we learned so much. I'm definitely going to listen to this. I'm going to sleep to just get inspired every time. This is awesome. Thanks again, Brandon.
Yeah. Derek, Jade, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot during that episode. Brandon was awesome.
Yeah, and super inspiring. I love his story and hearing how he got to where he is today.
Yeah, very inspiring.
He also had some great tips for anyone looking to start their own business, or even if you want to transform an idea into a larger scale company like he did.
Definitely. And if this episode has piqued your interest in starting a photo booth business, check out the salsa booth at Photobooth Supply Co.
I want one.
Yeah, me too. As always, guys, thanks again for tuning in to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. Till then, we'll catch you on episode number 6.